What would it take for cities in Southeast Asia to become more sustainable, inclusive, equitable, and resilient in the face of climate change? Cities in Southeast Asia are urbanizing at an unprecedented pace. Local governments often struggle to keep up with the provision and maintenance of critical urban systems and infrastructure, and to regulate the development of new industries and economies. As a result, the coping thresholds of cities to changing weather patterns are being lowered. Urbanization increases the exposure and susceptibility of urban residents to disasters and climate-related shocks. But impacts are felt unevenly among urban populations. The interactions between urbanization and climate change create new risks and patterns of vulnerability. These require more adaptive approaches than the traditional emergency relief methods of predict and respond. Local governments have limited accountability to reduce the climate risks that marginalized community groups are facing. Short-term economic growth is a higher priority than the long-term considerations of climate change adaptation. Significant gaps exist between current urban development patterns and what is required to realize a sustainable, inclusive, equitable, and resilient urban future. There is an urgent need to rethink urban policy and practice. In 2014, we set out to do just that. The Urban Climate Resilience in Southeast Asia Partnership is a 5-year program led by the Thailand Environment Institute and the University of Toronto. It is a collaboration between academics, researchers, civil society organizations, government officials, and students from the Mekong region and Canada. The program aims to advance the understanding of urbanization and climate change in Southeast Asian cities, to build bodies of knowledge that will contribute to policy change, and to provide spaces for informed public dialogue. A network of research partners from Cambodia, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam worked together to develop concepts and methodologies to help better understand how climate change will intersect with the poverty and vulnerability of urban residents in Southeast Asia. They built relationships with policymakers and civil society members to explore possibilities for creating climate-resilient urban governance that is both inclusive and equitable. Their research findings made it possible to establish informed public dialogues and to train a new generation of leaders. This will allow decision makers to improve economic, physical, and social well-being in urban areas, particularly in response to climate change. The work of the Urban Climate Resilience in Southeast Asia Partnership makes an important contribution to understanding what it would take for cities in Southeast Asia to become more sustainable, inclusive, equitable, and resilient in the face of climate change. Our research has focused on 8 cities where researchers worked closely with members of the public sector, the private sector, and the community. Their goal has been to effect much-needed changes in knowledge, skill, access, and will.